Hi everyone, I'm attorney Catherine Henry, and normally I would come to you live from our YouTube channel or through our program that lets us stream to our YouTube channel simultaneously with Facebook. But Facebook is all where we can go live right now. We are setting up a new YouTube channel, but we've been banned from posting for 2 weeks to our YouTube account because, well, we kind of like the truth, and we certainly love medical freedom, and truth plus medical freedom equals things like a Kristen Megan video or something like that, and then that leads to censorship with YouTube, of course. But you guys all know that. If you're watching this video, you probably know who Kristen Megan is as well. And then you probably can understand why posting her videos is a little too much truth for the YouTube gods. And they have decided to ban me for 2 weeks. I'm on my second strike, and as you may know, you get the third one and they delete your channel. So we are trying to put some backup stuff into play. I've actually been searching for months on trying to find a really good replacement for YouTube where you can go live. Rumble is fine for uploading, although sometimes it takes an eternity to upload a video, but they don't do live yet. They're experimenting with it with a certain number of different accounts, but so we will stick with them for now and get our videos up on there after they've been on Facebook, until Facebook decides that I'm too much of a truth teller as well. But in the meantime, you'll be able to see videos at least afterwards on Rumble. And I guess it's getting a little too dark in here, sorry. It's been a long day and we're on the way home. But we holy cow. We do have that backup channel on YouTube that we will be putting some videos on, and we'll continue to look for other platforms. Clout Hub is one that we've kind of looked into. We do a little bit with Telegram, but that seems to be kind of a hit and miss thing. So anyway, speaking of that, we have a survey that we put out, well, less than 24 hours ago. I would love for you to look for that post and fill out that survey and tell us, what are your communication preferences? If you want to hear about the latest and greatest legal updates or calls to action or any other kinds of information that we have to provide to you, please fill out that survey and tell us which platforms that you prefer. So, sorry, I was just kind of looking at some comments to see if there's anything I need to address. But anyway, so yes, if you can go and fill out that survey, that would be great, because we'd love to hear from you. If we see that tons of people are going to start going over to Telegram and, would look at our Telegram channel, great. If we see, tons of people still are going to whatever, YouTube or going to Rumble or whatever, just click. You can select as many or as few as you would like, but that way we can try to reach as many patriots, as many truth seekers, as many Constitution-loving conservatives as possible, in a way that we could still be efficient with our time. Because right now, when we post something, we're really trying to post out there to as many as we can, while we're all in flux about seeing where people are migrating to and what platforms work and what don't work. And it gets a little overwhelming because, we're all doing it volunteer and we're all doing it all the time. And one post can take quite a bit of time to get on all those different platforms. It'd be great if a thing like Hootsuite or some other kind of program would post to all those off-brand places, if you will. But so far, there hasn't been a place out there that does that, or a program out there that does that. So anyway, please fill out that survey and let us know so we can narrow down to maybe 5 or 10 things that we're doing instead of all over the place. Also, if you are not signed up or not receiving our surveys, or our newsletters, and you would like to do that, there is a specific sign-up form We have tried to catch everybody that has had interest in getting information from Restore Freedom or from me, Catherine Henry specifically, and trying to make sure you are included on this new set of newsletters that we'll be doing. It's not going to be any more than once a week. And so far, we did one this week, but we skipped last week. That pesky election day trespassing case still has me working day in and day out. But as we go forward and we're working on other things, I want to be able to have a regular method of communication with you guys. Do keep in mind our website will be going through some improvements, but the biggest thing that you can do is keep up to date on the updates tab. It's the very second tab of our website. It's just called Updates, and it has all kinds of things. Basically every post that we put on social media, we try to remember to put on there as well, and have information or have videos or have documents available to you guys. So when you're looking for something that you know was just posted recently, you should be able to scroll on the updates page and it'll all be in chronological order. And I think you can search there too. Also, it's actually, that page is embedded from Blogger. So if you wanted to go to the Blogger account and subscribe so you'd get notifications when we do make a post, you can do that. And then you'll be able to get notifications every time we just put a little blurb out there, and you can get them like piecemeal, one at a time. So that's a great way to do it too. And certainly if we have more people specifically subscribe to that, we will make more of a concerted effort to make sure everything is on there and it's as quick as possible and whatnot. So we just want to make sure that we're getting information to the people where people want it and where they're going to read it and see it. So speaking of information, I wanted to draw your attention to some important documents that we recently posted to the website. It's under the resources tab and under the documents page. It's the very first chunk of stuff that you'll see, whether you're looking at it on your phone, it'll be the top, or if you're looking at it on your computer where the screen is wider, it'll be off to your left. And it's documents drafted by, it says the trespassing case. I forget exactly what it says, but basically something about documents in the trespassing case. That's going to be, the documents in there are going to be able to help you in virtually any kind of situation where there's government overreach. So is it a lot of pages? Yeah. Has it been a lot of work, months of work, legal research and writing that takes hours and hours and hours for days and weeks on end and literally months? Yes. At this point, I've now had to write already 5 full briefs at roughly, some of them are shorter, but up to 50 pages of actual substance in each. I think it's 8 motions. And this week I got served with another piece of crap garbage from attorneys that don't know how to read the Constitution, let alone the Michigan court rules, or any statutes for that matter. And so I'm writing yet another response to a load of garbage. Here's the thing though. The information I'm putting together, I'm putting on my website not to bore you to death or to give you, something to do when you're, have insomnia and it's, it's better than a warm glass of milk. No, the stuff I've put out there is something that I want you to read. Even if you don't have something pending, any kind of government action or government overreach personally that you're dealing with right in the moment, it's important information that's in there. I literally bring it down to the basics of where do we get our rights from? Where does government get its rights from? Does it have rights? Does government get to just own property? That's a fundamental thing, especially in day and age of all of the, restrictions, the COVID crap, and everything that they're doing to us. And, you're going to have a vaccine passport in this area, and you're going to have to mask to go over here, and you're going to have to, all this other garbage, right? All of those restrictions. And we're seeing it in private businesses. We're seeing it in government businesses or government entities, and now we're home. So if you're going to give me a second, I'm going to walk inside and give you guys some more information. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to stay here because I'm not going to do it for very long. So you're going to have to I don't know. Make sure I have lights. So, so anyway, there's some very good information in there. And I try to make it as easy to understand as possible. It's, there's going to be basically with every brief, the motion is kind of like the summary. So the motion, my motions have typically been 3 to 6 pages, and double spaced. And then so like I said, that's the summary, right? So that's where you should stop reading, because if you're in a situation and you actually ever need to use the information, then you need to actually have the statutes and the cases and the whatever, the court rules, whatever it is, depending on whatever situation you find yourself in, that you can give the person not only the summary of, well, yeah, this is illegal, but then you can tell them how it's illegal, how something is unconstitutional, how they are breaking the law. How exactly is it that you cannot be charged with criminal trespass by simply existing and being on property open to the general public, for example? So I know that a lot of people, even most of my own Restore Freedom team, has not read. I guarantee you most of the team has not read 90% of the stuff I've written at this point. My husband hasn't even read everything that I've written at this point. But it's important because that information could end up saving you big time. You never know when something's going to hit, and you're going to need to know something. So the briefs are great because the brief is like the full enchilada, right? If you look at the table of contents, you're going to be looking at it hopefully on a PDF viewer other than through Google Drive, because for some reason, if you save it and then open it through Google Drive, then it doesn't show you bookmarks. Get a free PDF viewer that shows you bookmarks. Then the bookmarks they line up with the table of contents, and you can click all around through different sections. So it's not like you need to read the whole thing in one sitting if you're not someone that really likes to sit and take in that much information or that much law all at one time. But that way you can click and go, oh, okay, this is creepy. I have no other lights on in my car, and it looks a little scary. Okay, at least I had a floating head. So you can click through that, the bookmark section, and be able to figure out, okay, well, today, I just want to get my mind around some of the background, like what about government and government owning property and the rights of government officials or government agencies to own property and control it, and what can they do and what can't they do? That's going to be a section that you can read and then, go, you know what? Okay, I need to let that sit for a day or two. And then I need to come back to it and do something else. You can go back and then read about, well, I was at a Menards, or I was at a Costco, and I was at the Jimmy John's downtown Grand Rapids, 3 doors down from the police department, and I was being threatened with getting a criminal trespassing charge because I wanted to order a sandwich from Jimmy John's that should take them 3 seconds to make. But they wanted to make me wear a mask, even though I'm medically exempt. Can I really get a criminal trespassing charge out of that? The answer, by the way, is no. The Supreme Court has said over and over again that is blatantly unconstitutional. We can go over that in a minute. But the point is, the whole legal explanation is there, so that you know, and each one of you are going to read things a little bit differently. Read that chunk 2, 3, 4, 5 times. You're going to get something new out of it every single time, so that you are knowledgeable. And if you find yourself in a situation where you are walking into property open to the general public, that you are armed with the knowledge of what is something you could be actually arrested for, and what is something that you cannot legitimately be arrested for, and how to respond in certain situations. So that's an example that's in there. But what about in situations where, maybe it's not even to do, anything to do with COVID. Maybe it's government overreach in some other aspect, or, maybe it's due to some sort of licensing thing, right? That they're trying to mess around and make up new crap all the time. That's how they were messing around with Marlena and her bistro, anything like that. So keep in mind that sometimes you find yourself in the midst of a legal battle, and you're like, I don't have enough money for an attorney, or I have money for an attorney, but I can't find one who's willing to take my case. Or gosh, most of these attorneys just seem untrustworthy these days. They don't read the Constitution. They don't know the laws. More and more it's being exposed how attorneys are lazy or incompetent or evil. And unfortunately, most of them are one of those three. Well, it doesn't take an attorney to read the law. It doesn't take an attorney to read the Constitution, to read the court rules. And guess what? If you are representing yourself, you're held technically to the same standard that even a licensed attorney is held to. But guess what? Just because you're not an attorney does not mean that you can't know the law and the Constitution and the court rules better than attorneys or judges or certainly prosecutors, especially in Allegan County. So make sure that you look through those things. Now, I can tell you that this year alone, in the last, 6 months since I got the newest copy of the Michigan court rules for state courts, I have literally read that book cover to cover at this point probably 25 times. And certain rules I know a little bit more than others. But I'm always getting something new out of it. And I'm like, oh, yes. And it just clicks in a certain way. Now, I get that I'm an attorney and I've been in the legal field for 20 years already, almost 21. But and so I do have some experience that I bring to the table that other people might not have when they're reading things, but I guarantee you it'll be worth your read to read some of these briefs, read the explanations about the court rules and how they all work together, because you can defend yourself or you can bring a whole lawsuit on your behalf. You don't need to depend on an attorney. No, I've had a lot of people reach out to me recently, every day. I mean, really, since I've become an attorney, that's never taken a break. But even through COVID, even in the last week or two, I've had people reach out to me about, needing an attorney for emancipation for a minor. I've need people that needed family law attorneys going through divorce or custody, people who have had CPS take their children. I've had people reaching out to me who need criminal attorneys or bankruptcy attorneys or people to draft a will or updates, estate planning or, sue somebody over a contract that's gone bad. And unfortunately, I used to do all of that, all of it. Bankruptcy, you name it. I'm licensed to and admitted to practice in all the courts to handle all of that stuff. But I'm fighting for freedom from here on out. And I haven't been in Ottawa County very long, and I didn't really feel like I had been in West Michigan long enough to really be able to depend on certain colleagues for certain kinds of cases. So in terms of looking for recommendations, I'm not the person to call because at this point, I really don't have anybody. If there's somebody that I can refer you to, I will actually put them on my website. That's how you'll know that somebody is worthwhile in my mind, that I could put my name attaching to a referral for them. Other than that, trying to reach out and email or call or text or whatever, I'm not going to have any kind of better option for you. Does it suck? Yeah. Should there be other attorneys stepping up? Yes. And as you'll see in more and more of my briefs and more, and there's different stuff in each, by the way, guys, you're going to see a lot of overlap. Because the ones that I'm posting about the trespassing case, it's all about the same stinking election day case, right? So there's going to be a lot of the same information, a lot of the same concepts. However, there's new and important things interwoven with each one. In fact, think about it this way. The more recent it gets, if you find something that's new in there, that means it's probably even more important because I've now figured out that I really need to delete some of the other stuff to squeeze in some of this new stuff because, page limits and all that. So anyway, my point is, yes, I'm putting that information out there hoping, I hope some attorneys will read that and even some judges and be able to open their eyes and see our Constitution and see our statutes and even our court rules in a way that they have never quite seen things before. But I want you, as someone who's a business owner, who's a stay-at-home mom, who, works for Ford, or, you're a bus driver for a local school district, or you're someone who has been wearing masks all along to go along and get along, or maybe you've thought masks and vaccines and all that, you've believed everything that our governor has said and the CDC, and you're like, this is going to save everybody and everybody just needs to suck it up and do it. And then you're starting to see more and more warnings come from the CDC about, maybe we weren't so consistent or correct about the masks. Maybe we got it wrong about AstraZeneca or, Johnson & Johnson, or, having some of these COVID vaccines. Maybe we need to make sure we're not pushing some of these vaccines because people are dying. They are getting cancers already. They are losing babies. They are getting horrible blood clots and dying. A horrible death that is instant and is much quicker and gives them less time to say goodbye to their loved ones than even having COVID would have. So, even if you're in that boat and you are just kind of seeing some of this stuff, everyone needs to know the basics of our government. Who has rights? Who doesn't have rights? Where do your rights end and somebody else's rights begin? And how does it all work together? How does the government control things or fix things? Or what is the government's role in any given situation? Everyone needs to know that. If you live in the United States of America, you need to know the answers to those questions. And those briefs aren't going to be able to answer every single aspect of that, but I tell you what, they're going to give you a big push in the right direction. And so I'd ask you to really consider, I don't care who you are, what background you have, if you ever finished high school or college or even, any kind of graduate school, it doesn't matter. You could be a middle schooler. If you're 13 years old and you're watching this video right now, I'm going to ask you to download that brief, any of those briefs and motions, and look at them and study them, because every single person that is in this country needs to understand where their rights come from and how they interact and intersect with what government does, what it can do, what it shouldn't be doing, and all of the rest, and how to hold government accountable. Sometimes, though, holding government accountable isn't where you're at. I'm not in the realm of holding government accountable in my case yet. Where I'm at is just trying to survive, literally. Where I'm at is trying to hold them off from pursuing more and more egregious, illegal, unconstitutional actions against me. So it's a fight. It's a defensive mode. But that's sometimes where you're at. Sometimes life sucks, and that's where you're at. And guess what? I am trying to do what I'm going through. I'm trying to go through it in a way that is going to benefit you. To be honest, I could have taken the easy way out on a couple different things, slam dunks in a way that would have been like, well, duh, we have to dismiss this case, which, quite frankly, all of the stuff I filed so far was a slam dunk and they should have dismissed the case. But I want to win in a way that's going to benefit you. I don't want to win in a way that's only going to benefit my case. Otherwise, why would I have suffered every single day working on these freaking briefs, day in, day out, missing time with my family and my friends and going to church? A lot of Sundays I haven't even gotten to go to church because I've been working on this. Why would I have risked all that if it couldn't be for anything other than to make sure I'm paving the way that my suffering in this situation is going to lead to less suffering by you and your neighbor and the business owner across the street and your children and your grandchildren? I want to help pave that way. So if it's going to be at my expense and my personal cost and the cost of my business and everything else I've been working for in the meantime, that's fine. Because I'm not gambling with anybody else's life right now. I'm gambling with mine. So you know that if I'm putting my freedom on the line, it's my ass on the line and my business and my legal reputation and everything I have worked so hard for my entire life. You know, if I'm gambling all of that, then I'm all in. I'm all in, and I'm going to put everything in there. And if I put something in there, then I'm 100% behind it. Now, I don't know about you, but I've hired some accountants or attorneys or bankers or whatever throughout the years, right? Yeah, and you might trust them, but you always kind of wonder at times, well, gosh, how much do they really have my best interests at heart? Are they able to put 110% into this? Are they able to? Are they willing to? Do they recognize their shortcomings or where they might not be doing that? Let me tell you, this is my life on the line. This is my freedom. They want to put me in jail and give me a criminal record because I was standing on public property. I was there to speak with the deputy so he would not arrest the people who called me. I wasn't even circulating my own petition that day. I was just there to be an attorney. And he knew that, and he was waiting for me to come and talk to him, but he didn't want to hear the truth. So if that can happen to me, if they know I'm an attorney and they're willing to trample all over my rights and they're willing to do whatever they think they can, and it's the sheriff and the prosecuting attorney, and now it's been 1, 2, 3 judges in that county, and it's been five different people from the prosecutor's office, 5 different attorneys from the prosecutor's office, and countless other individuals in government who don't quite understand what the Constitution is, what it entails. If they're willing to do that to me, they're going to do it to you. And it's not just Allegan County. Now, Allegan County is the worst I have ever encountered. I've seen stuff. I've handled cases in Saginaw County and in Genesee, going to Flint. I've done a little bit in the Detroit area, and certainly in Kent County and the Midland area, and some up north and Roscommon and Tawas and Lake and wherever. I've done kind of all over a bit. And in different states, and all the way up to the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, Michigan Supreme Court, you name it. Allegan County has been the worst I have ever seen in my life. And let me tell you, that's saying something. But just because that's the worst I've ever seen does not mean that wherever you are, that you're not going to encounter something. At this point, given COVID and, despite everything else, I can almost guarantee you that you are encountering government overreach, even if you don't even think of our governor doing it. You are encountering government overreach and a trampling of your rights in one way, shape, or form that you need to know how to defend against. No matter what industry you work in or what county you live in, I can almost guarantee 98.9% guarantee that you are encountering that kind of government overreach, and you need to know how to fight against it. And most people don't. And they get exhausted on figuring out how to. I've been exhausted in this fight. I have been beaten down, exhausted. Let me tell you this. I hadn't left my house. I'm trying to remember the exact number of weeks. 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. That the only time I had left my house was I left once to go to the township hall because I had a township board meeting. And then aside from that, I got a 7-year-old staring at me. Aside from that, I didn't leave the house at all. And I think I might have gone to Rebounders to go to an exercise class for 45 minutes once in there as well. Other than that, for like the 6 to 8 weeks, I literally didn't leave my house. I didn't go to the grocery store. I didn't even get to go to church. I hadn't driven anywhere. A car hit my car beginning of February, and we needed extensive work done to it, which you wouldn't think by looking at it, but anyway, it just hit all the sensors in all the wrong places, and I had to have my car worked on. And my husband just said to me 2 nights ago, he said, wow, he was looking at my car and he goes, wow, your car's still clean from when they fixed it and then they did a car wash for you. And I said, it's because I haven't driven it. I haven't even gone anywhere. I hadn't even gone to my chiropractor in that amount of time. I didn't go anywhere. Good thing I homeschool because, schooling was just right at home. But I literally had no contact with the outside world. I was emotionally drained. I was physically exhausted. I was... I actually felt car sick. I still, to this day, feel car sick because of the hours of staring at my computer and working in my office. And all my neighbors will tell you, I'm a crazy pacing person. I'll print as much as I can and I'll go pace around my driveway and on my sidewalk and get as much of that sunshine as I possibly can. But still, to be able to work on this literally every single day, not taking a day off because I just can't. It's exhausting. So if I'm an attorney and I'm, a legal expert, right? And most of you watching this are not. I can definitely understand where if you get into a situation where somebody's coming after you or your loved one or your business or your freedom and you don't know how to handle it and you have not found an attorney that you can trust to be able to take your case for you, don't give up. Whatever you do, don't give up. Do not feel like you're alone. Do not feel like you can't do it. Do not feel like it's so overwhelming you just can't possibly make it through. God will only give us what we can handle. And when we make it through to the other side, we will be stronger for it. That's not just some saying. It's just not something that you just put on your wall in a nice, painting or frame. It is legit and it is real. You are not alone. If I can survive the hell I've been through, well, quite frankly, from my whole life, but certainly since I got beat up by 3 sheriff's deputies, bruised with contusions and cuts and skin abrasions and things that are still healing, not to mention the emotional trauma that I went through, quite frankly, but that my then 6-year-old daughter went through, watching 10, 15 feet away from her mom as all of that is happening. Or in the words of my child, "Mommy, it made me sad and scared to see the police dragging you away in chains." Let that sink in for a minute. My child still has nightmares about what she saw happen to me that day. If I can survive that, if my daughter can survive that, I promise you, whatever you are going through, you can survive that. And I will do my best possible efforts to help you through that. Now, am I going to be able to represent you? Chances are not, because I'm still getting thousands of people reaching out to me on a regular basis that want me to represent them on something big, something small. It's not that the amount of money is going to change anything, but it's a time thing. But I want to put as much possible information at your fingertips that I possibly can. So yeah, my website has a ton on there, and sometimes it probably feels overwhelming and it's not maybe the best organized. We are definitely going to get to that hopefully soon, but we're going to rearrange and make things simplified and make it clearer what information is out there. But do know that if you're only going to look at a few things, that updates tab will give you the day-to-day things when we have new information or new sources or new things to look at that you'll want to take part in. But the briefs and the motions, again, if you weren't on a little bit ago, we've had the numbers fluctuate quite greatly in those that are watching right now. The motions that I've written that are on the website under the documents tab or the resources tab in the documents section, the ones that are motions are the Cliff Notes summary. Do not read that and think you're the expert. That is going to give you the basics, the overview of what you are about to read. The briefs are going to go in detail, and please do read the footnotes, because sometimes the most important things that hinge on things are in those footnotes. You'll see cases. And by the way, you don't ever have to take my word for anything. That's why I cite everything. I don't just say things. Oh, look at that awesome man on there. My husband has just put restorefreedomkh.com/content/documents. He's got lists, links on there for you to see some of that information. So please make sure to check it out. I know it can be overwhelming and hard to understand at times, but read it in chunks if you need to. Go through it, and very soon I will be going through each of the briefs and explaining things, because every single one of you is going to need to know at least one piece that's in those briefs. It doesn't matter what kind of situation you find yourself in. You're going to find yourself in that situation, I guarantee, probably in the next 12 months if you're not already in it. So I will do a video explaining those later on, but try to do the homework before class, if you know what I mean. Try to read and understand as much of it as you possibly can. Getting through, start with that table of contents, find something that looks the most important or the most, jumps out to you. There's 2 main appeals. So let me step back and say, so my case is in the district court, which in Michigan is, if you want to think about it this way, it's our smallest or our lowest level trial court. So it's in the district court in Allegan, Michigan. Then when you have a case that you want to appeal something from the district court, you have to appeal it to the circuit court, which is also a trial level court. It's the same court that you get divorced in, or, that you have any kind of property trials, or, disputes over $25,000, that kind of thing. That happens in circuit court in Michigan. But it is still a trial level court. So what I did is I initially filed a motion for summary disposition, or motion to dismiss the case, in district court, and had a hearing on that. The initial motion was just on the legality of the charges themselves, how it is not legal and not constitutional for them to have arrested me, or for them to have arrested the volunteers that were there circulating that day. Because that was the whole point. Everything I've put on the line is to secure the freedom of people like those volunteers that were there circulating the petition that day. That is the entire reason why I'm fighting any of this fight. So anyway, that's what happened at the initial hearing. The judge denied it, saying that no defendant, get this, no defendant ever has the right in a criminal case to bring up or challenge the legality or constitutionality of either the charges or the actions of the prosecutor or of the court in the case. It doesn't matter what the case is about. The judge literally said, my due process and any criminal defendant's due process, all you get is a jury trial. It's not the jury's job to determine what the law is. It's not the jury's job to figure out if the prosecuting attorney or if the sheriff's deputies or somebody else in the situation followed the law, or if they violated your rights, or, if they just made something up like they did in my case. It's not the jury's job to do that. That is the judge's job. The jury's job is to determine or decide upon facts. Facts. Well, the prosecutor and I, for the most part, are not disputing the facts. I was at the township property. I was at the township property knowing that the clerk said she didn't want me there, and she told me multiple times to leave. And despite what the prosecutor is trying to turn this into, it was never about my car. They didn't say anything about where I was parked. They didn't ask me to move my car. They didn't say we could move our vehicles and come back. In fact, the circulators that were there that day, they actually asked where the property line was so that they could park their cars and move everything over the line, so they could ask the other property owner to be there, so they could have voters could vote, and they could just come over and sign, and then no big deal. And the deputy said no, he wasn't going to tell them where the property line was, because they wouldn't be allowed to do that even with the owner's permission, because then voters would be leaving their cars there and walking over and signing, and probably taking all of 5 minutes, if that, and walking back to their car before they drove off the property. And he said that was not allowed. So, first of all, that is allowed, and it's allowed for them to be on public property on election day, circulating a petition, as long as they're more than 100 feet away from the door of the precinct. So it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent. It doesn't matter if you're collecting signatures to run for governor or collecting signatures for a local school board, referendum of some kind. It doesn't matter if it's a state, national, local situation. You have a right to be there. You could just be handing out flyers on Michigan vaccine choice issues. You could be handing out flyers on, from the Michigan Coalition of Responsible Gun Owners, or, any kind of other information that you want to get out there in front of people. And why? Because that's a day that people in that area who are registered voters and take their citizenship seriously are going to be there. They're going to be there physically, and you have the right to be there to talk to them and give them information, as long as you are outside of that 100 feet from the door. So that is the challenge that I was raising, along with the other, constitutional, issues and whatnot, just about the charge. Then the manner in which I was treated was awful. I can't actually see hands, and I'm on my phone, so I can't see more than 1 or 2 comments at a time. But I would say, how many of you, if you're sitting in your, living room watching this, go ahead and raise your hand anyway. How many of you had seen any of the footage from Marlena's case that Friday, 3, 4, whatever it is, weeks ago, when she got arrested and was hauled all the way over towards Lansing somewhere to have her hearing. Anybody see that? Yeah, I did. And there were some aspects that were correct, very few. There were some aspects that may have been legally correct. There were some aspects that may be correct to a certain degree on paper, but there was a lot taken out of context, and there was a lot done wrong to violate the rights of the person in that case. And by the way, did you know she's not even a named defendant? Go figure that. She's not the named defendant, but she was brought there and handcuffed and shackled and was not allowed to speak. And when she spoke, she was given contempt. I mean, the whole thing is just insane, but she's not the only one. I can guarantee you that if you reach out to your close friends and your neighbors and your coworkers, that you know of at least one person, at least one, who's had a significant dealing with government, not necessarily with law enforcement, but with government in some way, who has violated their rights, and they have no idea how to fix it or remedy it. Let's take back our freedom. Let's put our government officers back into the boxes they belong and make them keep the constraints of the Constitution and of the law that are meant to keep them bound. Not keep us bound, but to keep them bound. Let's do that together. Being informed is the first step. Having guts is the second step. You got to have both. You can't go riding on into battle without a plan, without that information, without that knowledge. And you certainly can't arm yourself with information and be willing to read every single brief and motion I have and look at all the exhibits and then not be willing to do something about it. You got to have your boots on the ground. You got to put, the pedal to the metal, so to speak. You got to be willing to put it into action. Both things are necessary. So why do I bring all that up? Well, the manner in which she was treated in that case and the manner that I have been treated in my case, I was denied assistance of counsel at my hearing when I was there to argue the law and the Constitution that is so clear and so straightforward. I've never argued a more straightforward case in my life. And yet the judge said I had no rights as a defendant. And the judge said it didn't matter that I have an ADA, a request for a disability accommodation, and that they knew about it since the day the ticket was filed in court. The court knew about my hearing disability, and that they knew that's why I needed to be in person for hearings. And, they knew that, they knew a bunch of stuff. They also denied the public to come into the hearings. I could go on and on about all the different things that are wrong, but here's the thing. I separated out the legal stuff. It's all legal, but the original law, the reasons why they should not have arrested me or charged me in any way, that is in one appeal, a substantive due process. It's the substance of the case, right? That appeal was first. I filed that in the circuit court on March 31st. Probably without reading my appeal, I was given a one-sentence denial order saying, nope, it's not timely. You have to be within 21 days. Normally in an appeal, you have to be 21 days from the date that the order came from the judge. However, there's a few things that you don't have to have the 21 days for. Certain statutes will give you extra time, or I don't know, like if the court doesn't have jurisdiction to hear the case, the court has no subject matter jurisdiction. They cannot decide a case of that substance, of that type of matter, regardless of who the defendant is. They don't have jurisdiction over that kind of thing. The easiest example would be my case is in district court. So let's say that somebody else in district court decided to file a bankruptcy case in district court. Well, you can't do that. It has to be in a federal bankruptcy court. That's the only place that you can ever file a bankruptcy. So the court would not have subject matter jurisdiction and the case would have to be dismissed. So the thing is, though, it's similar to that. There's no well, I'll have to have a whole nother video talking about the crime that's not a crime that I'm charged with. But so basically, if you are charged with something that's not a crime, if you are, there's some sort of other reason why the court doesn't have jurisdiction over the case, they can't just let the case keep pursuing against you. So, at any rate, that's subject matter jurisdiction, and the circuit court just denied it with one sentence of an order. It didn't take me seriously at all. That's fine. If I won at circuit court, then it wouldn't help you guys at all, because there'd be no precedent set. Well, I appealed, and that appeal was filed on April 9th in the the Court of Appeals of the state of Michigan. I believe there's 4 offices around, or 4 courts all around the state for different circuit courts in Michigan, different Court of Appeals in Michigan. And the Grand Rapids office is the closest to me. So it's essentially venued or housed in the Grand Rapids Court of Appeals for the state of Michigan. And that case is currently pending, and I will let you guys know with any updates. So that's on the substance. That's on the original. Did they have the right to arrest me to begin with? But then, like I mentioned, at my motion hearing, I was denied assistance of counsel, which is 100% illegal and unconstitutional and violates our court rules in a bunch of different ways. I was also denied any disability accommodations at all for my hearing disability, which the court knew about ahead of time and memorialized in the Register of Actions, which is like their note-taking system, essentially. And a lot of people have accommodations that will need to be made, because most people that are like me that have a hearing disability, we generally get by without people even knowing we have a disability. We read lips, we figure out what we have to do. Well, I can't read lips if people are wearing masks. And if you're hiding behind a thick sheet of plexiglass on top of it, I'm certainly not going to be able to hear you very well. Well, they didn't care. Prosecutor had a mask on, judge had a mask on, judge was hiding behind the plexiglass. I wasn't allowed anybody literally not a soul was allowed in the courtroom with me to help facilitate and hear what I couldn't hear. And if you look at the transcripts, there's parts where I argued in rebuttal things that the prosecutor never even said, because that's what I heard with my ability to hear. Well, that's not my fault. So if you look at those kinds of things, it's not just unique to me. The issue of masks in government settings is a problem, right? The issue of ADA accommodations. Well, look at Kristen Megan. If you know anything about what happened to her, well, quite frankly, on several different occasions, but most recently with the Hudsonville Public Schools board meeting, the school board meeting, this last week. But, so we all know somebody that's going through something like that. But then, the issue of needing an attorney, being denied assistance of counsel, or being denied, any of a public hearing, that is not only a constitutional thing, it has been a law that goes beyond or prior to our first state constitution. When we were the territory of Michigan, we had a law on the books in 1846 that made it so that every single hearing or trial in this state must be open to the public, except if it is, if you have to sequester witnesses, if one witness shouldn't hear what another witness has to say and you want to make sure they're each telling the truth, then during the time of that trial and their testimony, they can be sequestered. If it's a case of sexual immorality or something to do like with a criminal sexual conduct charge, and you need to keep a child safe from hearing whatever that information is, you can keep them out of the courtroom. Or if it's an issue of national security, those are the only 3 exceptions that there are to having a public hearing. Otherwise, it is open to the public. And although the Michigan Supreme Court has been pushing these Zoom and remote hearings, they have been adamant from day one with all of the resources, all of the bench cards they put out for judges, all of the resources, the what is it called? Return to full capacity, big manuals they put out, everything. When they talk about doing Zoom meetings or anything like that, they make it clear that you can't have a criminal trial or, criminal hearings without the defendant's consent, number one. But number two, that if any of the participants have any kind of disability, you might not be able to do a remote hearing at all. And the thing that I don't agree with them on is how, when they are doing remote hearings, how they're handling it and how they're really not making it public. For example, if they put it on their YouTube channel and then immediately delete it the second the hearing is over, that's not public access, because some people have technology issues. They might need a while. They might need help to be able to find it and, go get it, or have somebody help them, or be able to get a recording. The fact that I have a recording of my hearings, but I was threatened with contempt of court and going to jail if I ever released those videos to you of the court proceedings, there's something wrong with that. That's called a gag order. That's not okay. That is censorship before anything has ever been said or done. We have a country where the First Amendment has the freedom of speech and the freedom of press. And if the people who run the government, who hold all the sovereign power, are not allowed to access a court proceeding or be able to have any information or see any, evidence of what transpired in that courtroom, then how are those government officials ever going to be held accountable for their actions? How would we know if they ever did something wrong or right? We wouldn't. So that is not okay. And that is an issue that I am fighting full on, but that is in a procedural due process appeal. The procedures they used are not correct. And a lot of the government overreach that we're seeing oftentimes these days is actually in the form of a procedural due process issue. It might be at your city council level. It might be at your school board meetings. It might be at your, in a court. It might be with the legislature. It might be in any capacity. It might be on a one-on-one situation with you and a police officer or deputy. Any of those situations, but it all the same general constitutional procedures still apply. And no, because there's a pandemic. I guess I should go inside where there's light in my house. A pandemic or a oh goodness, I'm thinking of my words right now. Famine, war, any of that doesn't take away your right to have your rights, to have the constitutional protections of your God-given freedoms. Oh, don't judge my house, by the way, when we sneak through, because, I've been writing briefs nonstop for months and I haven't cleaned anything. So hopefully you didn't see too much of that. So at any rate, see, take a look. There's all kinds of briefs and motions and court rules. It's never ending here. At any rate, the procedural due process stuff that I have in that brief can help you in almost any situation that you have encountered where there's government overreach or the process that the government official or government body is using is not quite right. So please do pay attention to that. So that is the brief that I filed on April 7th in the Circuit Court in Allegan. And what the lovely prosecutor's office has just recently served me with a copy of their super lame and terrible motion to dismiss my appeal. So the interesting thing is they can't figure out how to respond to any of my emails. They can't figure out how to provide any discovery, even though it's legally required of them to provide to me. They can't figure out how to answer any of my other briefs or motions, but they made sure to file a motion to dismiss my appeal. The funny thing is, they are forgetting some basic concepts, though, like things that you should know if you ever have an attorney that you're not quite sure if they're doing a good job and you want to know what things are required, or you want to represent yourself in something. If you file a motion in a Michigan court and it has any kind of element of the law or the Constitution or court rules, you are required to write a brief. and the brief has to follow the rules that are found in 7.212. So it's just one of those things you got to do, and there's a whole bunch of different kinds of things you have to have in your brief. You can use my briefs as a template and figure out how to be able to fill in the blanks for whatever situation that you have. But I don't know why the prosecutors haven't thought of just trying to copy my formatting, because they simply just don't turn in briefs ever. I've written and submitted 5 already, and I'm writing the 6th one right now, thanks to them. And they have never submitted a single brief. They've never submitted anything that was more than 4 pages. I think 4 pages was the most. And it's a bunch of garbage. It doesn't have any analysis of the law to the facts. It doesn't even have any coherent message within it. Really, it's terrible. So trust me, if you are worried about having to represent yourself in any kind of situation dealing with government, or even specifically in the courts, don't lose faith, don't lose hope. You can definitely do a better job than this prosecutor's office has done. So take a look at those briefs, look at what the court rules. I describe everything, I put everything in quotes. You can go to Google Scholar if you want to look up how to find a case. I don't know if they have any statutes, but you can certainly use Google Scholar if you want to look up a particular case, whether it's a federal case or a state case. There is an issue where if it's too old, they don't find the older cases, and I don't know what the cutoff is, but some of the cases I have literally been legally accepted and understood principles for 100, 150 years or so, and Michigan or Allegan specifically still hasn't figured out those concepts. Well, those cases are so old that Google Scholar doesn't even have those available. But you can find them if you go to your local library. There's all kinds of legal databases that are available for you to search things. You might be able to find it just by typing in the site that I put on in the case. You should be able to Google that, and some website somewhere should be able to return a result for you so you can read the whole case if you want, or get to know things a little bit better. So number 1, for those of you who are on now who weren't on at the beginning, I'm going to ask you to please fill out the recent survey we've posted on our social media platforms, and hopefully my husband will have the survey on our updates page, updates tab. Before I'm done with this video, I'm looking at him, staring at him to see if he's going to look at me. He still won't look at me. There, hi. So please make sure to fill out that survey. Let us know. I think there's only one question that's required. It's the first question. I want you to tell me what kinds of methods of communication are important for you when you want to know legal updates, when you want to hear important information, when you want to know calls to action or things that are happening right here in Michigan or super important throughout the whole United States. Where can you go to on a regular basis? Where do you prefer to go to get those kinds of updates? We have a whole bunch of different sources of information there. We have a new newsletter that we've started. We are posting to different social media platforms, things like that. We're obviously posting to our own website. So please check any of the options there that you are willing to utilize, that you think you would benefit from, to getting that those updates and that information, so that we can make sure we're getting the information most efficiently to the people that want it and need it the most. So that's my number 1 ask for you. My number 2 ask is, like I said, go to the website, restorefreedomkh.com, go to that resources tab and the documents, and look at the court documents that I've been posting just specifically about the Allegan County Election Day trespassing case. Trust me, there's a bunch of information in there that you can use in many, many, many circumstances and situations. I'm sure I'm forgetting other information that I was going to tell you guys, but they are afraid of me. They want you to suffer. Let me tell you, they don't know anything yet. If they are afraid of me now, then they should really start to be afraid of me when they realize what I'm capable of. Because remember, if any of you were watching about 15 minutes ago or so, I was telling you that sometimes you're in cases where you just got to handle the surviving mode. You got to handle what they're dishing out to you right now and be on defense, essentially, and get that case all resolved and wrapped up and dealt with. And as soon as that's done, game on, man. So They have no clue what they're all about to get into, but there's at least three judges, at least 5 prosecuting attorneys, at least 3 sheriff's deputies, the sheriff himself. It'll be fun. So, are they afraid of me? Well, they might not be afraid of me now, but, well, I'm still here and I'm not going away because I know I have the law on my side and pretty sure God's here too. So, I think I'll be okay. Can you tell me, what questions, since are you on there?
I haven't had a chance to look at those questions.
Can you go back?
I'm going there right now.
I'm only seeing like 2 comments at a time, and I think I'm definitely seeing some stuff out of context. So I just want to make sure, if you guys had any questions about anything I've said, that I'm able to. Hey Emma, can you get your mommy a bottle of water, please? I want to be able to make sure that I am able to answer any questions that you guys have. So give me just a second. I'm going to see if there's anything that I've missed, that I haven't seen, that I can see now. Okay, I wasn't going to go into the details of my case, but there is a question that I'm seeing here now. And, oh, yes, thank you, Lori, for posting that. So I did see that Lori posted our donate link to our website. That would be very helpful. I don't have the thing in front of me. In fact, actually, I can pull it up over here. Just so you know, even if you represent yourself, it does cost quite a bit of money. Now, you can get some waivers. Oh, thank you, Emma. You can get some waivers. Sorry, guys, this is shaking around. My arm's been holding up this camera for a little bit now, and it gets to be a little bit.
Do you want me to put it on the stand?
I'm not sure. Not yet. There, I think I'm good. So I'm just going to try to find this for you guys so I can see and give you guys an understanding of what the costs are, what basically, you know, if you have to handle a case like this, what is the out-of-pocket that you might have to be dealing with. So far, I had to pay the costs of getting a DVD, because in the age of COVID, that's how Allegan is doing it. It's $20 for a DVD of a hearing. I have 3 more hearings I have to now get copies for, so that'll be fun. Then I had to pay for transcripts. I only know the cost of the first 2 right now. Excuse me, the first 2 right now, which one was a very short hearing. But the transcripts for those 2 are $114.50. Of course, there's fun gas money getting back down there. I've gone down there 4 times already, and I have some stuff coming up this week. Paying for any FOIA requests. Make sure you do a FOIA request. If you have any kind of government entanglement or government overreach at all, whether it's a court case that's pending, whether it's any kind of other situation, go ahead and do a FOIA request. It's not going to hurt. And preserving that information now is better. I had the appeal. If you want to file an appeal in the circuit court from the district court, or let's say you have some sort of licensing agency that you are appealing their decision, or a local government agency, you actually appeal that to the circuit court too. And that appeal is $150. And if you have to do it by credit card, because that's how they do their online stuff or their e-filing stuff, because they don't quite have a full e-filing system yet, that's $5.75 on top of that. And if you have a timely situation and you need your appeal heard now because they're infringing upon your rights right now, you need to file a motion for immediate consideration. That would be $20, although they're not supposed to charge $20 motion filing fees in criminal cases. You have to pay the district court a fee, or I don't think there would be any analogous fee if it was in any kind of administrative appeal, like from a licensing agency. But if you're appealing something that happened in a lower court, you have to pay that court to basically alert them that you filed the appeal. So I had a second appeal to the circuit court. So that was another $150, another $575, another $20, another $25. the Court of Appeals. If you want to file a case in the Michigan Court of Appeals, the state of Michigan's Court of Appeals, that is $375. Plus the motion for immediate consideration with a pending trial date, say, for example, that's another $200 and $17.25 for the credit card processing fees. So I can't do the math on that right now, but I'm well over $1,000 just on the out-of-pocket expenses. So yes, it can be kind of expensive. It can get, obviously it's time consuming, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible at all. And here at Restore Freedom, we are going to do everything we can to make sure we have tools at your fingertips, because we cannot represent everyone. We want to put tools right at your fingertips that the average, everyday American can be able to look at it and figure out how to conform it to whatever they're going through and use it and have real cases and real statutes and real court rules and real templates and know how to follow the rules and know how to submit documents in ways much better than the prosecutor's office that we're dealing with right now, so that you can have your case be taken seriously, so that you can have an end. Dude, you can't do that. It's distracting. So that you can have your case dealt with and treated in a way that it should be, and that you're not going to be looked at as just some I don't know, some dumb person who just doesn't have an attorney, that you can fight the fight the right way and win. And if you don't fight it, and if you don't win it when you fight it at the beginning level, then you will know how to take it to the next level. Do you know the biggest reason why people often get stuck with the decisions that they have at the lower court, whether it's in a divorce that went terribly wrong, well, obviously divorces aren't that great to begin with, but if the judge decided something in a way that was just terribly wrong, terrible decision for the children, or a totally unjust, division of assets or something like that, the number one decision, the number one reason why people in those situations, or even in criminal cases, or in a business licensing case, or any of those situations, the number one reason why people get stuck with those bad decisions is because they cannot afford to go to the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court. They cannot afford to appeal to any other level of court because they've run out of money. They either didn't have enough money when they started, or they totally ran out of money and they see that there is just no way to pay for all of that. So I want to make sure that we can do everything we can so that you don't need to pay $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for an appeals attorney. Now, am I saying that an attorney who does appeals is not worth that? No, because think about all the hours I just told you guys I've had to spend on these appeals. Hours and hours and hours that, quite frankly, I would have never spent that on anybody else's case, because I have lost out on my health. I have lost out on being with my family and going to church. It's an every single day thing since November 3rd when this case happened. There is no way. I mean, I've worked through Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and sometimes here and there, and before the new year happened, it was some Restore Freedom projects that were outside of this case, but certainly since January, and definitely since the hearing on February 4th, it has been an every single day working on these cases, on this appeal, on the next appeal, on the next appeal. I have now filed 3 appeals on this case. So it's the kind of thing that even I would not have been able to put this much time, effort, and energy into representing anybody else, because it wouldn't be fair to my family, wouldn't be fair to my kids, wouldn't be fair to my husband, wouldn't be fair to me. So what I want to do is put all this time, effort, energy, experience that I have into something that each of you can use, really use in a way when you need it the most. And what I'm going to be doing also is a series of videos to explain the Constitution, explain the U.S. Constitution, and explain the Michigan Constitution. In the meantime, for those of you who don't know, we have our Constitution app. It's Restore Freedom. You should be able to find it if you go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store and you search for Restore Freedom, maybe Restore Freedom Constitution. But we have a Constitution app that has the U.S. Constitution is the first little main tab or section there. Each section of the Constitution, there's a drop down. I forget, what do you call that? It's like an accordion menu, basically, where it expands and it shows you each section of the Constitution. You'll be able to see on the next tab over, it's the Michigan Constitution. So even if you're watching and you're not from Michigan, it's still valuable just to have the U.S. Constitution and at least to see an example of how a state constitution is broken down. And in other states like Minnesota, for example, there are striking similarities between the state constitutions and the different provisions that are in each. So it's not going to entirely be useless to you to see the Michigan Constitution, even if you're not in Michigan. And then I forget what the other tabs are, but if you log in and don't just use it as a guest, you'll be able to bookmark. You'll be able to use the highlighting feature. And if you go to the, I think it's the last tab or second to last, there's something that says like online access or online account. If you click that, that'll actually lead you right into our social media platform, We the People, that we created. So that's like a version of Facebook or Twitter, where you can post and put videos and be a part of groups and have your own account, and there's no censorship. But you do have to answer some questions about how much you value your God-given liberties and the Constitution just to be able to open the account. But once you do that, we don't censor you. So please make sure that you take advantage of those opportunities. Like I said, the Constitution app is just Restore Freedom in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. And you can fill out that survey to tell us which ways you prefer to hear information and updates from us. You can go to the restorefreedomkh.com and go to the Updates tab anytime you want to see any kind of updates. We will try to have more and more things posted there on a regular basis. We were kind of being selective at first, but we'll get more and more things posted there. And make sure, no matter what you're doing, that you do not give up on the underlying notion that we, the people, are the ones that hold the sovereign power here. It doesn't feel like it most of the time these days, but we do. The more you put your foot down and you say, no. You want to mandate me to do something? No. You want to tell me I have to do something in my own home? You want to tell me how many people I can have visit for Easter or Mother's Day or Father's Day or graduation for my children? No. You want to tell me what I have to do at work that has nothing to do with the job at hand or the task at hand? No. You want to make me wear a mask when that's going to actually make my job or my life more dangerous? No. You think that you can close public meetings or public hearings and, shut the people out or not answer FOIA requests? No. Government has no right to do that. Government doesn't have its own rights. Government has rights that the people have given it. Government can only do what the people have given it the authority to do. We, the people, have God-given and unalienable rights that the government can't just take away. And the argument that you have to have something, well, they're doing it to everybody. It's for the greater good. That's not in the Constitution. It doesn't say, well, you can set aside the First Amendment and the Second Amendment and you could set aside all that just when you think if the governor or the president has said it's for the greater good, then it's all fine. We're totally fine. They can set aside your rights. Absolutely not. So do not let people push you into that. Do not let people bully you into that. Do not let fear control you. You are not alone. You are not to be controlled by the government. The government is to be controlled by us. And we will do everything we can to give you the tools so that you can stand on your own 2 feet and hold your ground and exercise your God-given liberties the way they were meant to be exercised. Please know you're not alone, though. You are not alone. This is tough. We're all going through terrible things. There's a lot of unnecessary, needless deaths. There's deaths where people are by themselves and loved ones that haven't been allowed to be with them for a variety of reasons that all boil down to the COVID crap in the first place. Do not think that you are alone, though. When you are discriminated against at work, when you lose your job, when you are discriminated against in trying to get medical treatment, or in trying to go to the store and get groceries or, home repair equipment that you need. When you are, a woman who has been through hell and back and you show up and you barely make it to a Menards and all you need is a fuse for your oxygen machine, when that's all you need. And the Menards employees stand there telling you, no, they're not going to let you in and get it, and they're not even going to bother going to get it for you. And it's basically manslaughter at that point. If a good Samaritan doesn't step in and help you find some other store where you can get a fuse for your oxygen machine so that you will be able to breathe and survive. Everyone is going through something terrible, but you are not alone. So we are at Restore Freedom. We're praying for you. If we know about your specific situation, we're praying for you. If we know just in general about the suffering that many people all across our country, our world, and certainly within our state are going through, we are praying for you. And we want you to know that you're not alone. Obviously, Jesus loves you. We love you, and we love this country, and we love our freedom. And we will work every single day to provide tangible ways to help you. Not just some, stuff that sounds good on TV or that's going to get anybody any kind of popularity, because I'm sure I've lost a lot of popularity. I've certainly lost friends and family members over the fight that I've been fighting for the last year. But we will do everything we can to give you the tools that you need, and so that you can make your situation better. It's not a Staples Easy button. For all the people that listen to a speech of mine and they'll come up at the end and ask me a question, no, how can you boil it down? What can you give me right now so I can fix this? I don't have an answer for that. I didn't create these problems. It's not my job to fix it like that for you, but I can do everything I can to give you the tools to make it happen. You are not alone. Now, I know some of you are listening to this going, Catherine, you have just said that 15 times. You don't need to say it again. I can guarantee you there's at least 30 people watching this video right now that need to hear it at least 2 more times. So guess what? You are not alone. And if you need people, if you want to reach out to our team just to say, I have a prayer request, could you please pray for me? Put that in our Restore Freedom group. Send us an email. Shoot us a text message. We will pray for you. If you want a prayer request made known to everyone, let us know that too. If we have your permission to put your prayer request out to the public, we will do that. You are not alone. And we will do everything we can to get you tangible ways to be able to exercise your God-given liberties that the government has no right to take away. And I'll tell you what, I'm not really afraid of much. I'm afraid of spiders. I'm a little afraid of stairs. That's a long story. And some sharp knives. That's another story. But I'm really not afraid of much. I'm certainly not afraid to stand and fight against government crap, against government bullies. And if anybody thinks they've even remotely seen me all heated or, in the swing of my fight for freedom, you ain't seen nothing yet. Nothing yet. I've been surviving this. We the people will conquer. We will conquer my case, and we will conquer all this garbage that is happening. But no matter what you do, let me ask you this. I know it's impossible at times. Impossible. But I need you to do one thing for me. I need you to remember that when you have an employee at a store who's discriminating against you or treating you like garbage because you can't wear a mask or because you don't want to show them proof that you've had the vaccine that's going to kill you, when you are dealing with an employer who doesn't understand why you don't want to have to tell them every single movement you've ever made and every single person you've ever come into contact with, when you are at a restaurant and you are frustrated and ticked off that somebody wants to know your shoe size and your phone number and your name and all this stuff just to be able to get a table in the corner where you've sat for the last 10 years enjoying your favorite meal, do me this favor, please. Remember that that person in that position, there's something wrong there. Remember that. Remember either that they are in a position where they feel like they will lose their job and not be able to pay for their medical bills or their situation, whatever they're going through, that they are going to lose something big if they don't keep that job. Not that it's right. I'm not excusing it. I'm just asking you to think about it that way. Or think about it from the perspective that maybe they really don't get it. Maybe they don't understand. Maybe they think that government has the right to tell us whatever they want to, whenever they want to. Maybe they think that we get our rights from the government and not the other way around. Maybe that's an opportunity for you, no matter who you are, no matter how old you are. You could be 8 years old. You could be my 7-year-old child. She has told people about the Constitution a time or two. Don't be afraid to seize an opportunity. Here's what my goal is in getting at. No matter how they are treating you, do your absolute best to treat them with respect and kindness and understanding. I'm not saying be a doormat. I'm not saying let them treat you like garbage and just roll with it. Absolutely not. But when you are responding, try to bring the truth in love. Try to bring them the truth in a way that they can hear it. If you beat somebody over the head with a big club and say, ha, now listen to this, there's going to be seeing stars, right? They're not going to be able to take it in and understand the message you're trying to convey. If you beat them over the head with the truth and they are seeing stars because they're so angry or they're embarrassed or they're whatever, they're not going to be able to take in that message. They're not going to get what you're saying to them. They're not going to hear your story. They're not going to understand what situation you're going through. Now, maybe it's not going to make a difference. But I've personally seen it. I personally witnessed it with my own eyes where it's not necessarily me. I am not the epitome of a perfect example on how to keep, your calm and be able to make sure you're standing up for your rights, but do it in this way or that way. I mean, I try, but I'm not perfect. I have seen other people do it, and I've heard of other people doing it in ways that I'm enamored. I love it. Let's be like that. Let's be the kind of people. The constitutional conservatives watching this right now, show the others out there. Show those that don't know Jesus or don't know the Constitution or don't know that others are out there that maybe feel like them. Show them what it's like to fight for freedom, to stand your ground, to understand your rights, to have the confidence in who you are, the rights God gave you, and the fact that the government cannot take them away, to do that in a way that's going to bring people to the truth instead of pushing them farther away from it. Don't let the media be able to spin something that one of us is doing and turn it easily into we're the bad guys. Rise above that the best you can. Now, if somebody is really treating you like garbage and they're discriminating against you or they've bullied you or your daughter or your loved one or your grandma or whoever, if they've denied you the ability to get the basic food or supplies that you need because you live in the middle of nowhere and it's the only store for miles, whatever the situation is, I'm not saying that you can't be human and break down emotionally and have a time where you can't handle it. We're all going to feel that way sometime. But when you can, please do your best to try to understand that that might be somebody that you can reach. That might be somebody who just needs to hear it from a different angle or see it from a different perspective, something they never even considered before. So read the briefs and the motions that I've put out there. Pull out pieces that you think could speak to somebody. Have 1 or 2 quotes in the whole thing. Put them on an index card or save it on your phone as a reminder. Carry it around in your purse or in your car or in your wallet. Have that as something that you look at every single day. Just something that talks about our rights, that talks about your rights, that helps reinforce that we have God-given liberties that the government can't just take away. So have that and bring it around with you so that when you encounter a situation, you have that little piece of ammo that's going to help you, but it's also going to be able to potentially help the person that's causing you the problems in the first place. Give them the chance to have that information. Plant that seed. And if you say something, and then 10 people later, somebody else says something, and then another 10 people later, somebody else says something, by the end of that shift, that employee or that manager or whomever might really start to think and go, there might be something to that. I need to look at that. What is this all about? I just assume the government can do whatever it wants, that Whitmer has whatever power she wants, that she's doing what's best for us. But now, eek, I at least better see what these people are talking about. Please try to be that voice. All right, guys, I appreciate you being on with me this late at night. Hopefully I've been able to provide some information to you and give you some kind of peace of mind, give you some information, give you some hope at the very least. Were you able to get on and see if there's any questions?
Yeah, I can't read it. It's for some reason it's so small here. I can only
Okay.
read, like,
Is there
1 thing at a
anything that
time.
you were able to see that I should answer before
No.
Okay. So, I can only see a little bit here and there, and my husband was not able to see. So I apologize if there are questions out there that I was not able to. Oh, my next court date. I do see a question on that. Well, my next court date, I have 2 court dates this week. I have a follow-up to the court date. If any of you saw my my hearing on my motion to compel discovery from the prosecutor's office, that hearing was held on April 8th, of course, by Zoom, which violated my rights. But anyway, the follow-up hearing is scheduled to happen this Thursday at 11 a.m. and may very well be happening by Zoom again. So if that is the case, we can go ahead and get that link posted. And then in theory, the very next day, I have a status or settlement conference with the prosecutor, and not sure if Allegan County also has us meet with the court and doing that on the record, but they have that scheduled by Zoom as well. So you guys might hear what's happening, but I certainly won't catch everything. So those are my 2 hearings coming up this week, Thursday and Friday. I believe Thursday is at 11 a.m. and Friday, I believe, is at 8 a.m. So any of you that can join and watch, that would be awesome. I definitely would love the support. When they see, just even seeing how a judge that goes from, 20 views on any given video to 200 views when it's a motion hearing for me, I think that speaks volumes. So even if you just have it on and you're just listening to it, it's in the background while you're at work or whatever, but you can log on to those hearings, that would be great. That would show a lot of support. I really appreciate it. So I see there was another question. Let me see really quick. You want to be me when you grow up? Thank you. How is the health department still issuing orders? Because as far as I know, no one has actually challenged what they need to challenge. That's a different story. Which I would have done had I not been having to deal with this case. I have never heard of Jimmy Thomas is an attorney. I've never heard of that person. Let's see. Jane! Hi, Jane. Well, thank you for being there for me, Jane. And yep, you just get yourself all healed up right now. So, let's see. Yes, David Cox in West Virginia. Please make sure, I can't see your entire comment on my phone here, but I see that you're in West Virginia and you've been sharing my information and Kristen Megan's. Please make sure to keep sharing the information because it's not just for people in Michigan. The Constitution, the U.S. Constitution applies equally throughout every single one of our states. So please make sure to take advantage of any information. Okay, let's see. I did see there was somebody that asked a question. I must not have, it pops up a little bit one at a time and then I'm not able to see the question unless I go down and scroll and find which one it was. So I saw there was a question mark. I'm coming back. Oh, I had seen a comment pop up that said, LOL, not you, lose your cool, never. That was Deb. Deb commented that. Of course, I never lose my cool. Psh, whatever. All right, guys, hang in there with me. I'm looking for questions that you guys have asked. Do we have to, under law, wear masks? No. Let's see if I have that board up. It's been like literally 6 months since I wrote this. Oh, let's see, give it another light. Okay, and keep in mind that I have kids and I've had crap and we've had to move the board to the stairs. Oh, it's going to be backwards for you guys. Well, that's not going to help. Find the video on YouTube. Yeah, my YouTube is still there for now. Find the video on YouTube where I talk about we were talking about contact tracing, microchipping, the COVID or flu vaccine, masks, social distancing, temperature checks, those kinds of things. And the laws that allow for that or don't allow for that. 333.2253, that's talking about the powers the State Department of Health and Human Services has. 333.2453, that's for the local health departments. The three main things they are allowed to do are only to prohibit gathering for any purpose, which, by the way, if anybody's ever read the Constitution, we actually have a right to peaceably assemble and they can't stop us. So no state law can ever override the Constitution, and no pandemic can ever set aside those rights that are protected in the Constitution and given to us by God. So no, they cannot prohibit the gathering of people for any purpose at all. The other thing that both of these laws allow these different agencies to do is to ensure the continuation of essential public health services, not public health mandates. Public health services means an offering of something that you could choose to say, you know what, no thank you. I do not particularly want that, but I appreciate the offer. So I appreciate the offer of masks being there on a counter at a store or, in a government building, but I do not have to take them because that is not the continuation of an essential public health service. It's pretty much not any of those. It might be tied to, I don't know, health. But even then, health, by the way, is not in the U.S. Constitution at all. The word health doesn't appear in the U.S. Constitution, and it only appears in the Michigan Constitution on a limited basis. So anyway, the third thing, they can enforce health laws. Well, what are laws? What about administrative rules and regulations? What about any of that? Nope. A law is what a law is, and here in Michigan, it's defined in MCL 8.8. Defines a law as something that's been actually voted on and properly enacted through the legislature and signed by the governor or gone through the, past the veto process and had 2/3 of the legislature vote to pass it through. It's something that was initiated through petition, like the Stand Up Michigan petition was to get rid of a law, but it actually takes a law to get rid of a law. That's how it works. So that had that, come to fruition, that would be considered a law. Or an executive order that's done properly under Article 5, Section 2 of our state constitution, but those don't regulate the people. Those simply reorganize parts of the executive branch of government. So, but anyway, we talked about in that video these parts of the Constitution. There's the U.S. Constitution and the Michigan Constitution. We talked about your unenumerated rights in the Michigan Constitution and the U.S. Constitution, and elements of the Article 6 of our U.S. Constitution, Article 11, Section 1 of our Michigan Constitution, which is the one that says all government officials will swear to uphold and support the U.S. and Michigan Constitutions, period. Also, if you work for government at all, you're the janitor of a state government building, you are a code enforcement officer for a local township, or you're the governor of the entire state, or you're a state rep, or you're a county commissioner, or a school board member, you're a public school teacher, you work at any kind of county or city or township or statewide office at all, even if your position is not elected, but rather it's just a normal, like you get hired and fired the same way that any other employee would. You still have to remember that MCL 15.151 requires you to take the same oath of office under Article 11, Section 1 that judicial and legislative and executive officers have to take. That's right. Whether you've taken it or not doesn't mean that it doesn't apply to you. If you didn't know that you took it, don't remember, or maybe you didn't take it, that just means that you can't actually serve in your government role, in your position in office. So if you're, say, a local health director, a local health department employee, and you think you're going to tell local businesses in the area whether they can have their business open, or if they're a restaurant, how many people they can have in there, or anything like that. If you want to try to, say, shut down a local Christian school because they're not wearing masks and forcing masks on children, guess what? You took an oath to uphold the U.S. and Michigan constitutions, and if you didn't, then you don't actually get to have that job. So keep that in mind. And so mask requirements, are they legal? No, they don't actually follow what the law allows them. Are they constitutional? Absolutely not, but I only had room to write the word NO. And the term health, welfare, and safety, each of those are not in the U.S. and Michigan constitutions the way that our courts and our media have talked about them for generations. They're not. And it doesn't matter what a prior court case has really said. What matters excuse me, is what does the Constitution say? What does it actually say? Just look at the text. I guarantee you that you'll learn a lot just reading the text of those constitutions. So hopefully that answered your question. And so no, you do not have to, it is not a law of any kind that you have to wear a mask. Okay, Laura, you just said no, Cheryl. Really? You answered her in literally 3 seconds, and I just took like 5 minutes to answer her. So, well, I guess. You guys aren't watching me because you think I'm going to say it in a short period of time. So, okay, so Zoom, I guess let me back up and say, for those of you who are interested in watching my court hearings that the court is forcing to happen by Zoom, which is totally illegal, you won't connect to my case through Zoom. Mike, it ends up being a YouTube link, right?
For what?
The court case. My case is on Zoom, but he makes those Zoom hearings record on YouTube, right?
Yeah, they're on YouTube.
Okay. So you guys will actually see it through YouTube. You can actually Google Allegan District Court, and the bottom of the District Court page, it'll show Judge Belarjan's live streaming link. That'll take you to his YouTube page. So as the member of the public, you'll be able to view it there. You will not be able to see it afterwards because he deletes them immediately afterwards, which is definitely not public access, but that's what he's doing so far. Antrim County, I do know a little bit about what's going on there, but I don't have any direct updates that I'd like to be able to hang my hat on right now. I've never heard of Jimmy Thomas, but if Jimmy Thomas wanted to reach out to me, or if he has some sort of case that would be actually tackling the mask issue, great. Let's see. Listen to Fauci. Who would do that? No one elected Fauci. Okay. Awesome. Robert hosted a maskless prom party last night. Love it. Love it. I love that you did that. I didn't get to see the whole thing. I can't read the whole thing, but private businesses can still require. No. Here's the thing. I'm going to explain this more. This video has already been much longer than what I anticipated, but here's the thing about if you are going to a business, a piece of property owned entirely by a private organization or private individual, but that property they have opened up to the general public, they cannot require you to wear masks. Certainly, you cannot be given any kind of trespassing charge because you won't leave for not wearing a mask. So let's play this out. So let's say instead of on election day, let's say instead of being at the township property for circulating a petition, let's say I was standing in a Walmart and I was just shopping there, doing my thing. It's open to the public. I was there to do what everybody else is there to do, which is to shop. And I have my cart and I've got my groceries in it, and they say, you got to wear a mask. You got to leave if you're not going to wear a mask. And I say, no, thank you. And I just go about my business and I'm putting stuff in my cart. If they then think that they're going to call the police on me, sorry, I haven't talked this much in a long time. If they think they're going to call the police on me and then bring trespassing charges against me because I'm not leaving and the property owners have told me to leave, that's not going to fly, because the Supreme Court has very clearly stated when you have property that is open to the general public, it doesn't matter if it's owned by a private organization or a public entity, if you have property open to the general public, if somebody is there and it's currently open to the general public, you cannot arrest them or charge them with criminal trespassing. It's not a thing. It's also not going to be something that you can sue them civilly for being there trespassing if they're just simply there existing. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit, but let's see. And we will still go back to posting on our normal YouTube channel once we can in 2 weeks, but let's see. Okay. I think that might be okay. Oh, look at that. Somebody just said Walmart. That was the example I used. Can a garage sale open to the public require you to wear a mask? That's not the same as a Walmart. Here's the difference. Although a garage sale is open to the general public, it really depends on where it is. So let's say, for example, I think it was before COVID. Might have been after COVID started, but not too far in. I went to a church that I don't go to. It's, not that far from me, but anyway, it was in the city of Wyoming, and it was a church, and they had this outdoor, huge garage sale thing. They're trying to raise funds for their youth group. And had they said to me that I was not allowed to be there because, if they said, okay, you got to wear a mask, and I said, I'm sorry, I'm not able to do that, and they said, well, you have to leave. You're not allowed to be here unless you wear a mask, and so if you don't leave, then we're calling the police and we're going to have you trespassed. It is not legal. It's not constitutional or legal to arrest me in that situation because it is property truly open to the general public. It's not only open because a church, in theory, if it's a Christian church, it's going to be open to the public, but in that period of time, it's also open just to anyone who might want to buy something at their garage sale. They can't just discriminate or keep somebody out or say that they're trespassing because they're not, whatever, they're not wearing a mask or whatever. Now, you might be able to get a ticket for disturbing the peace if you are doing something that specifically meets that criterion, or you might be able to get some other charge if you're threatening someone or you're intimidating somebody or you're doing something like that. But if you are just existing and you're not wearing a mask, you can't ever get a trespassing charge. And it's not even the mask issue. If you're just existing somewhere that is open to the general public, it doesn't matter who owns it. Here's the deal. With a garage sale, though, if the garage sale was, instead of being like at a church property, if the garage sale is, say, at somebody's home, and it's literally like in their garage, where the items are, yeah, you're getting into some sticky territory, because that's not property that's open to the general public in the grand scheme of things. It's something where basically what some of the cases have talked about is where your use of the property, if it's incompatible with the general use of the property as a whole. So for the first example I had of me being in Walmart and, getting my groceries and putting my groceries in the cart, I'm doing the exact same thing everybody else is doing, just not wearing a mask. So I'm not using the property in a way that's incompatible with the general normal use of the property. It's also not infringing on anybody else's rights to use the property. They can go get their groceries and I'll get my groceries. We each have our own cart. There you go. Me being at the garage sale for the church, especially the one that was outside that came to my mind at the beginning of COVID, and they didn't say anything to me. But if they had, that's going to be something where it's open to the public. It's open to the public, and in the general scheme of, grand scheme of things, it's a church where they are openly welcoming people into the church. And on top of that, it's hosted as an outside garage sale where they're advertising to the public as a whole. We have this particular event where you can come and buy used items at discounted prices for the purpose of raising money for our youth. Well, in that scenario, I show up. I'm there to look at buying used items at discounted prices, knowing that money is going to be benefiting their youth. I am using the property for the express purpose for which it was designed, especially during that particular time. So the thing is, though, when you have a garage sale at somebody's home, that can get a little hairy because, yeah, it's open to the general public for that particular time and that particular, event. But, if somebody, let's say there's somebody that's, I don't know, they're medically compromised in some way or something like that, and they're only comfortable with people, using hand sanitizer the second they show up and having a mask on and everything else. That's hard to say. I mean, you'd want to make sure that you're being fair and appropriate if you're that homeowner, and having a sign that says, these are, my expectations for my home, so you're not embarrassing someone or attacking someone when they're not able to do that or don't want to do that, but it's your home. I wouldn't want somebody coming into my own home and saying, well, I'm going to wear a mask or I'm not going to wear a mask. It's like, no, this is my home. I don't want your germ-infested mask in my house. So likewise, if somebody wants you to wear a mask when you're in their home, if you're in their home, you're in their home. So I'm sure if I took time to think about it and process it, analyze it a little bit more, I might be able to give you a little bit more specific answer or a better description. But in general, that's going to be the answer for you on that. So if you're in somebody's home or at somebody's, you're on somebody's property where they live, and it doesn't really matter what the purpose is for, if you just use their property in the way you would want your home to be used, if you respect the rules of the person who lives there, that's just going to be the best way to handle that. And if you don't want to be there, then don't be there, so hopefully that answers your question. But it's different, definitely different. So let's see. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there were lots of comments. I don't see any other questions. I'm sorry if you asked me a question on here and I didn't answer. I'm not ignoring anybody. I am just trying to do my best to scroll through and see all of them. What can we do to stop these COVID passes from being implemented to buy or go anywhere? Oh my gosh, that's a loaded question. There's a lot you could do. The best thing you could do is make sure you're staying factual and specific about whatever legal argument you have and whatever medical argument you have. So, listen to, for example, videos from Kristen Megan on the medical aspect of things, as far as vaccines and things like that. People like Dr. Martin Dubrovic, I think it's Allergy Specialists might be the name of his clinic, or a variety of other medical providers. Hopefully I will get to the point where I have time in my schedule to bring their information back in. They've got a lot of great information that I rely on, but they, that's going to be a big piece to, make sure whoever you are talking with, that you're not just saying, oh, this is unconstitutional, or this is illegal, or it's a violation of my rights, or whatever. Make sure you're bringing to them specifics. So look at some of my information to find the legal side of that. Look at some of these medical experts to find the medical side of that, and be able to give them a nugget or two from each side when you're trying to fight against that particular fight. Keep in mind it has nothing to do with HIPAA, because HIPAA, the main purpose of HIPAA is to stop your medical providers from giving your personal health information to other people. So if you are being asked for your personal medical information from your employer or a store or something like that, that's not a HIPAA violation. It's definitely a violation of your privacy, but it's not a HIPAA violation. So that's why we just have to be careful about some of those things. But make sure that you're keeping informed and make those calls to whomever. Call your state rep. They may never answer you. That's okay. Make the call anyway. Leave the voice message. Send the email. Go to the coffee hours that they have. The senators and the representatives are required to have those coffee hours in district. Times that you can go and ask them questions and participate that way. So anyway, so, make sure that you are reaching out to people at the state level, at the county level, at the, township or city level. Reach out, even if you come across a situation that's happening across state border in Ohio or in, Wisconsin or something, and there's something that you can call or do or whatever. All of these states, the states are looking at what everybody else is doing right now too, because they all know that they're flying blind on this, that they don't really know what they're doing. So if you can find a way to impact something else that's going on in another state by making calls or emails or whatever, then please do that. If you can drive a few hours across the border to help, a community out and show some support for some, public meeting that's happening in Ohio or Indiana or something, go and do that and support. We have to stick together. We, the people, need to show them that we're going to be informed, that we're going to be persistent, and that we're going to be dedicated to the fight for freedom, and they're not going to be able to pull this garbage anymore. So there's a lot of things that you could do. Again, no Staples easy button for that either, but keep the pressure on them and let them know we have the information. The fight is on our side. That's why when I walk into these court hearings or anything else on my case, I can walk in with confidence now. I mean, I would have walked in with confidence before, but I can certainly walk in with confidence now and go, you know what? I know no matter what you guys try to throw my way, I have the law and the Constitution and the court rules. I got it all on my side. So you want to mess with me, but then you're the one breaking the law. You are the one that's going to be held accountable here, not me. Have that kind of confidence that you know. So that would be my suggestion. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of information that can help, but maybe not, because I'm getting tired. So anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you for being on board here with this video and learning about things. And is that, oh, I thought I saw a teeny tiny picture of Kristen Megan. I was going to see if she might want to join in or say anything. But the person I was looking at is not Kristen Megan, just a teeny tiny person with brown hair. So I hope that you guys do stay engaged and stay informed, and make sure to fill out that survey. So I know from the vast majority of people that want to know information, want case updates, want legal updates, want calls to action sent out, how are you going to best see and hear and receive that information? Fill that survey out. Let me know. Do the emails work for you? Does going to my website on your own work? Does signing up for you know, anything else, you know, through our stuff, or just going to our Facebook page or YouTube, Twitter, what works for you, Parler, Rumble, whatever, what works for you, so we can make sure to best use our time and be able to get the information out to people in the way that's going to reach you. But anyway, thanks guys. I hope you have a great night. And by the way, anybody who donated at all, items or money so that we could buy items or anything, prayers, to our last round of those homeless bags. If any of you are watching right now, I just want to say thank you very much, because it was amazing to be able to put together those last 150 bags and get them delivered, to be able to see the faces of the people at that homeless facility where, you know, they didn't even know what was in them yet. They weren't, you know, they weren't being handed out immediately, but they knew that there was something in there. They were put together with love, and that there was a lot of them, and that my car was like this big clown car, because the stuff just kept coming out, one bag after another, after another, after another. And I just really appreciate you guys all teaming up with me for that last round of bags. It means a lot to me, and I'm really hoping that I was able to get some people inspired across our state, or maybe even across the country, on doing something similar, ways that they can jump in and get involved and help those in need in their communities as well. Something that's tangible, something that truly almost anybody can put together, even if it's one bag at a time. So anyway, thank you so much to all of you who helped with that, prayed, bought anything, and I know that it's making a difference in the lives of many people in the greater Grand Rapids area. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful evening.